Hi, I just wanted to go over some of the protest signs that I use. I campaign for Ron Paul, but I'm a little different than some of the other Ron Paul campaigners. I also go out with those guys and we do our sign waves with, the Ron Paul signs, and, it's very polite and everything, but, there's no message there, and I'm a believer in a message, and I do something that not too many people do. I solo protest, which is really strange, but the good part about it is that if you're the only one holding a sign, well, everybody reads your sign. So that part's good. And I do end up talking to a few people, they're more approachable as one person sometimes. And one way or another, get some heated discussions going. But let's go over some of these signs. They are what they are. I'm just going to show them to you. Like here's one. This one says, "The rulers don't give a fuck about you," George Carlin, and that's something that he was fond of saying, and one of his classic comedy routines, which wasn't really comedy. And that gets people's attention a little bit. You see people mouthing, "That sign says the rulers don't give a fuck about you." And, it gets their attention, and it's quite true, And then I usually put like something on with Ron Paul on the other side. Ron Paul, not psycho, it's not too original, but, it's true. So that's one. Then there's another one here. Let's talk about quite a few, actually. This one says, "The Gestapo TSA lives to degrade you." And, they do. I mean, these people, there was no, probably no draft to be in the Gestapo. There's people that like degrading other people and like looking into their personal business and like exerting authority over them, and that's what that's about, and that's why grandmas get their underwear examined and so forth. And Ron Paul isn't really doesn't like the TSA much, and neither do I. Don't think we need it. It's an invasion of privacy, and it's not making us safer. The airlines should produce their own security. This over says Ron Paul and the TSA. I assume he will. That's what he says. This one says, "Government debt drunks can't drive. Take the keys." And that's almost self-explanatory. And they do spend money like they're drunk, And I mean, really. And this Ron Paul, "Drain the swamp." Pretty simple. Got to keep these messages simple because there's not that much room to write stuff. This one says, "Memo, I want my debt slaves docile, bullshit, and stupid. Thanks, the 1%. Kind of an Occupy Wall Street kind of sign, and yeah, they do. I mean, they don't want people sitting around figuring out that, their money's being destroyed, and that, hey, somebody owes the money. As the national debt goes up, you're the little debt slave that has to pay it back, or your children or their grandchildren. Every child you see walking around, they're the bag holder for this thing, for the rest of their life. This one says, "Only Ron Paul cannot be bought." And I believe that. End wars, end the Fed, and corruption. Pretty straightforward. Some are a little funnier than others. This one says, "Fonzie big government is a blood-sucking tick." And it expresses my feelings. This one says, "Ron Paul or the Empire of Lies." Of course, I love that quote. Treason, truth is treason in the Empire of Lies. This one says, "Ron Paul's a wise man. The rest of you, the rest want you bent over," and they want you bent over and be doing it. And that's what they do. This says, "Debt slaves, police state, TikTok, time's up," and that's where we're going. Is becoming debt slaves and having a police state where there's lots more enforcement of ever increasingly restrictive laws. This one says, "Emperor Goldman Saximus declares all wealth is mine," circa 2012 AD. And the Emperor Maximus back in Roman times declared all wealth was his, and that getting pretty close to that. This one says, "Choose Ron Paul or game over." That's the truth. get a little, sometimes a little repetitive, but it says Ron Paul wore debt, slavery, police state, or epic collapse. The debt growth is 5 times the real GDP growth. It's doomed, and it is. You know, any recovery, any GDP growth, if it's less than the federal deficit, then it's not growth. It's negative growth. It's just borrowing the money and blowing it. You know, it's not a recovery. It's just going further into debt. That's pretty simple. The government doesn't seem to get that, but it is simple. It says the class rape of all time continues. Are you mad yet? And that's the truth. Middle class is getting raped. It says Wall Street crooks still free to loot the public. Well, that's the truth. None of them went to jail, except for Bernie Madoff. It says protest and get jackbooted. Well, that's the truth. Occupy Wall Street gets the shit kicked out of them all the time. Our local Occupy movement, you know, wasn't part of that, but they didn't last too long, and they haven't come back yet. So I understand that is what happened. And in fact, all this was probably not too well thought out, but after they got kicked out, I decided to put this sign up, and it says, yeah, Occupy Santa Cruz, my dog needs his poop spot. And it's kind of a double, it's trying for a, you know, something a little too clever. I don't think people understood this one, but basically, the place they were occupying, that's where dogs poop. I mean, it really wasn't that big a deal that they were there. I didn't see why they had to be run out. 1% greed in your government equals you lose. Are you mad yet? You should be mad. So it says the 1% lords love $3.7 trillion war profits. You debt slave. Well, isn't that the truth? That's where that's at. You mind being robbed and enslaved by the 1%? Or are you mad yet? JPM Chase MF Global means big banks can steal your money. And that is what that means. You know, we've never seen that before, where, you know, a financial institution could loan out money using depositors' money as collateral, and get leveraged money borrowed from another bank, and then that other bank has claim over the money, but before the clients whose money was stolen has claim over their own money. Very strange. And this course still got mega bank. If yes, you support financial repression, and that's true. Our too big to fail banks still represent a systemic threat to our economy should anything happen to them. And of course, you know, it's the same people in charge. They're still going to take the same kind of risks. They took risks before, they screwed up. They're going to take them again, and it's going to be worse because they're bigger. This just says debt, slavery, police state coming. Well, actually, it's almost here. And this says Ron Paul can fix this yet. And yeah, he could if he was elected. Or he could start down that path anyway. This says the rule of the soft-core fascists can end. And we do have a sort of a soft-core fascist state where the government and the corporations are kind of, you know, in bed with each other to the demise of the middle class. And that's all that means. And you can just vote for Ron Paul. And, well, this is the plan. This is their plan. This is the sociopathic fascist plan. Their plan is debt, slavery, police state, inflation. And that is the definition of a banana republic. That's where we're going. So I hope you enjoyed looking at my protest signs, and I hope you'll vote for Ron Paul.